Hi guys, welcome back to the fermented world. Thank you for joining me today. This is going to be the first mead brew of 2023. We've got 3 empty demijohns. We've got 3 airlocks. We've got 3 different types of honey. We have a really cheap clear honey. We have a mid-range expense blossom honey, which is the one that I normally use. And then we have a Tesco's Finest eucalyptus honey, which I was going to do a traditional with and never got round to actually doing it because of how expensive it was. Realised I was going to need more, so over time I just put one in the basket, and I'm glad I did because it's gone up by nearly £1 since all this flipping inflation malarkey's gone off. So we're going to be doing a series of 3 traditional style meads. Now this one's going to have slightly less honey in, but it will still give us a good indication of what we should expect from each honey. Now I did a little video on testing honey, just tasting them to see what the difference between them was. Now this really cheap one, I think it's about £3, as where this is £4.40 I want to say, and this was £3.50 per jar, which has now gone up by about £1. So this is the one that I remember having as a kid. When I thought of honey, this was the flavour that I had. And then I compared it with this one, and there was a big difference. There's a floral note to this, which is obviously comes off the blossom from the trees and that. The eucalyptus, although it didn't smell very nice, it was extremely tasty. So I'm really interested to see how that is going to go. So that's what we're doing today. We're going to make 3 meads. We're going to use the same process. I've got some raisins for tannins because it's always helpful in a traditional to have a bit of tannins, because obviously it's literally just the honey otherwise you get, and then you can like just get a bit one-dimensional with it. So first things first, I'm going to do the clear honey. You've seen this 1,000 times, so I'm going to speed certain parts of it up, and this needs to rest in some hot water because some of them have been in there so long that it's starting to crystallize in there, which isn't a problem because crystallized honey is just where it has a lack of moisture. So all you do is heat that back up and it dissolves itself back down. So we're going to put them in some hot water. So let's get this cracking. We need to move these now. Put the yeast over there, let's see. Get the first demijohn on the go. And we're going to be using the clear honey. So let's move everything else out of the way. So first things first, we're going to be putting in the honey. I'm going to speed this bit up because you've seen it 100 times and there's not really anything technical to it. We're just tipping honey into the jug. Okay, so we've got the honey in there. There was all in all, about 1 litre of honey. I've put some hot water in the containers to clear them out of honey. We're going to top this up to the 1.5 litre mark with hot water. And then we're going to mix that in. We're going with the kettle. I'm going to need that again. Damn it. So we've got a mixing stick and we're going to mix that in as well as we can. It might not dissolve fully into that amount of water, but we will be adding cold eventually. Just want to try and mix it in as much as possible to boot. Just be careful because this is going to be hot, and honey water that's hot is like molten lava because it just sticks to everything. So that's mostly nicely mixed in there. As you can see, it's just dripping straight off got no residues. Okay, so next step, we add cold water. So let's go fill it up with some cold water. Okay, so you would have seen me quickly making some notes there. This isn't my normal notebook, but I can't seem to find the one that I normally keep all my notes in. So that's been topped up to 4.5 litres, which is the batch size that one of these demijohns can hold. We're going to mix that nicely now, just to make sure it's all congealed together and that there's not any bits that have more or any bits that have less. We're going to take a hydrometer reading to see what the potential alcohol could be. We're going to add half a palm of raisins for the tannins, and what I'm also going to do is I'm quickly going to give these another rinse because it looks like there's still residue in there. And at this point, it doesn't matter about putting oxygen into this. It's when it's going through the fermentation process that you don't want the oxygen. The yeast actually needs the oxygen to begin with. So let's just pop that in there. Like so. We're down to between 20 and 22 degrees, which is my fermenting temperature in my kitchen. I leave these out on the side. They're sort of in light, but not in direct light, and I've never had any problems. So some people put them in dark places. I like to watch them go. I like to see all the magical bubbles. So what we're doing here is literally just trying to get the last bits of sugar out, because why waste it? You dig? There's only a little bit left, if any. And there's a lid here. Yes, I'm a lid licker. And I'm proud of it. Not wasting the honey. So this is the clear honey one, yeah? And we've got everything out of them now, so let's get them out of the road. So now we're going to add the yeast nutrients. We use yeast nutrients because honey doesn't have a great deal of nutrients in it. And if you use yeast nutrients, then you can actually drink your beverage a lot sooner. You don't have to wait a year for all the off flavours to fizzle out. So 1 level teaspoon per gallon. We're doing a gallon back, so in goes 1 level teaspoon. Put that there because we're going to need it again. So we're going to mix that in, and we're going to beat in some oxygen as well, which is why it's easier to do in a jug like this instead of the small neck of a demijohn. Traditional meads are really simple because there's nothing else to add. It's literally, you know. Now, if this was to go completely dry, we'd get about 15%, 14.5 to 15%. I like a mead at around 12 to 13%. I know that's quite specific, but it's that point where it doesn't feel like a wine to me. Because a wine, the level of alcohol, it gives you that bit of a judder, and I think that's why I don't like drinking wine. Saying that, I've got a bottle of wine in the bottom there. I sent my mum to buy me some mead, and she came back with a bottle of wine. I said I'd just give it to somebody as a present. No harm done. Oh shit. A sticky floor. Right, so that's sufficiently mixed in, and Dun, 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 dun. I didn't sterilise a flipping funnel. I'm gonna go quickly sterilise this. Okay, so we've got a sterilised funnel now. The reason why we sterilise everything is we don't want any other bacteria in there that could cause this to go off. Otherwise you waste your time, your ingredients, and yeah, the bees have made the honey for nothing. So next step is a hydrometer reading. So we can make a note of that as well, so we know what the potential alcohol could be. We're going to be using 1 packet of yeast between all 3 brews because I can. So that yeast packet alone can do 23 litres of must. Must is this, which is honey water before fermentation. That is the must. Right, so we're at 1.100, which is exactly what I always get. So OG is 1.100, also referred to as 100. So back in that goes. And that can go in the sanitizing water that's over here. Although we're doing it all at once, there are different honeys in there, and I don't want any cross-contamination from one to the other, although however minute it may be. So now we're going to put in a palmful, well, say half a palm is the normal amount that I'd use, of raisins. Half a palm, about that much, into the demijohn. Trying to unstick them if you can, because they do get stuck together. And what this does is it gives us an extra dimension of the flavour. Just pop them up there for now. And we then add the must. So now we're going to pitch the yeast. Using mangrove jacked mead yeast, which is M05. I'm going to tear a small hole at the side. I normally pull the whole packet open, but like I say, we're going to try and use the same amount, if possible, for all 3 meads. I think that's about right. Now, you might think, oh, that's not enough. Well, what's going to happen is the meads, sorry, the yeast is going to form a colony, and it will replicate itself and breed, and just the cells will split, and then they'll do more. And it does that until it's got a sufficient colony to be able to take on the concentrate of sugars, which is really cool. So that is pretty much all we've got to do with that one. We just label it up as the clear. And date, which is the 13th of the 1st, 2023. We put the OG down, the original gravity, 1.100. And pop an airlock on it, and that is as simple as making a mead is. Honey, water, yeast, nutrients if you choose to use them. Some people don't, but if you don't use them, you have to wait a year to drink it. Now, I'm not saying that waiting a year wouldn't make it better even if you did use yeast nutrients. What I'm saying is I prefer to be able to drink them as soon as possible. And there we go. Yep, and that's that one, done. Move that one to the side, and we'll go and get the next one. So we're going to do exactly the same. I'm just going to go and sterilise this equipment so that it's ready to be used with the other mead. So it is exactly the same process as previously with the clear one, but we're just using the blossom honey. Same amount. Like I say, the other one's going to be slightly less because they're smaller jars, but it's only probably about 100 grams less. So there may be a difference in, what would you say, the overall alcohol content. Well, there will be because there's less. Give that another shove because it's all clumping up together. At the beginning of the fermentation, that's perfectly fine to do. Maybe for the first day or two you can do it because it's just still getting its feet. But after that, try not to add any oxygen to it. We always make sure as well not to be greedy, because if you're greedy and you put it all the way up there, once this fermentation starts, the bubbles are probably going to come up to about there, you know, because it gets quite active to begin with. Especially if you're using fruits as well. Any fruits that you put on get pushed up by the bubbles and end up coming out your airlock, which you don't want. So I'm going to speed this bit up because you don't need to watch me do it in real time again, but I'm just going to repeat the process. Okay, so now we're on to the eucalyptus honey, which it says it's rich in toffee notes, perfect for marinades and glazes, and it's also perfect for mead, which they failed to mention. Don't know why. So I forgot to put these in water, hot water, so I'm just going to have to rinse them out the same way that I have the other ones and hope that we managed to get that residue that started to crystallise with the hot water. Going to speed this up. For a closer look, that is what we're using. And let's get on. Okay, so that is the 3 gallons of mead, about 3 batches, ready to start fermenting. As close as possible, I've had exactly the same amount of everything in, apart from the eucalyptus one, which had about 100 grams less honey, which is reflected in the original gravity, which was 1.092. So there's only 8 points different. But you can see straight away, clearly, there is a big difference in just the look of the honey. I mean, this is the clear one. This is the blossom honey, which is like really, really dark in comparison. But it clears out nicer. And then you've got the eucalyptus, which is like it's still dark, but it's not as dark. So yeah, we'll let them ferment, probably 7 to 10 days, depending on what's cracking on, and yeah, we shall come back and check them, see what they're doing, see what they've done, see whether the fermentations have been going at the same speed. Now, the eucalyptus is a little bit lower at the moment, so that's going to go closer to the radiator, just so it can heat up, and then it will be moved over with the other 2. So we'll be back in about, like I say, 7 to 10 days, give or take, and I may very well let them just ferment all the way out, and then back sweeten, and I may even stop them just before to keep some residual sweetness, because if I have to add any honey to this, it's going to get expensive, because you only get it in a small pot, and it's like £4, I don't know, £4.40 or something more. Yeah, it's gone up a lot. So we've made notes. I'm going to fill in the bits that I haven't done, like the amounts of honey, because 2 of them are the same, 1 of them slightly different. And yeah, we'll be back to check them out. Thanks for watching, and as always, take it easy.